All right, so today we're going to start on part 3 of our data analytics project. And as with before or previous assignments that I've provided you, the first half of our document here is really to discuss what the project is about, just to give you some reference information, and also to give you an idea about your data set that you should already have prepared. And here are the descriptors of each field that is in the data set. And as of part 1, you should have calculated these components here, or these variables here. All right, so the most important thing is that we rename this as part 3. So open up part 2 and then save it as an Excel file and make it part 3. Make sure your first sheet is your documentation sheet, and then save your work. So I'm going to do that right now. Actually, I already have an Excel file. This is from part 2, and you can see here at the top I am creating this as my part 3, and I have to finish this up, so I'm going to name this part 3. And I'm just going to say for discussion, this is going to be done on 4/14/2020. All right. And of course, here is still my today's formula as well. So my documentation sheet is done. Of course, here at the bottom, you should still have your descriptives, quarterly statements, categorical analysis, and your item analysis. And all this stuff was done in the previous videos. If you followed those previous videos, you should be pretty good to start with this next portion of the data analytics project. All right. So let's get started. What you're going to be doing actually is this project is all about creating these charts. Now, I'm going to step you through how to make most of these, because there are some idiosyncrasies that Excel has with making these charts. So what we want to do is start with a new worksheet right after the documentation sheet. We're going to call that trend charts. Okay, so let's go to my Excel. I'm going to go to descriptives, add a new sheet, and now this is going to be trend charts. Okay, hit save. Okay, and this is what it's going to look like when we're done. I can tell you one of the things to pay attention to, of course, is that this is in 4 quadrants. It would be helpful for you to make sure that you have some kind of gridding system to help with creating these 4 quadrants. And if you notice that there's actually 2 charts here on the bottom right, so it would be good to have columns that were split into half or fourths. We'll talk about that in just a moment. All right. So chart by chart, chart number 1. Okay, we're going to use our monthly financial performance summary. And what we want to do is we want to chart the total sales and the average sales. And if you look in this chart, this is a combination chart, combination line chart. Right here is the total sales, and right here is the average sales. Now also, along with this, is that this side here corresponds to this trend line, and this vertical axis here corresponds to this trend line. Okay, and however, each month here is month 1 through 12. We're not really putting in labels from January, February, and whatnot. So let's kind of get all this started, and let's see how we're going to put this together. All right, let's go back to Excel. I see what's going on. There we go. All right, Excel. So the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of set this up so I can have some trend charts. So what I want to do is I'm going to create a quadrant. I want to actually make this, I'm going to say a width of 50 for now. These 4. Actually, that's too wide. I'm going to do 25 instead. maybe that's still too high. Maybe I'll do, yeah, let's do something around this. I'll do 15. Okay. I want this first column and this middle column. I'm going to put them in a column width of 3. Put these 3 here, a column width of 15. Boom. Okay. Now the other thing I want to do is I'm going to make these first 5 rows. I'm going to change the height to 20. Maybe I will do not first 5, but maybe the first 10. There we go. Row height, and I'll make these 20. There, I feel a little bit more comfortable. So I'm going to skip this one and then make these next 10 from 13 to 23 in this case. I'm going to make those also a row height of 20. This is going to make sense. The reason is because I'm going to put a chart here, and I'm going to put a chart here and here, etc. So, like for example, this is where I'm going to have one chart. I'm going to have another chart here. I will have a chart here. And then I'm going to put, oh, I see, I made a mistake. 1, 2, okay. That's 10. Oh, that's 11. That's where my mistake was. Okay, good. So, all right, there we go. And then I'm going to put another chart here. And then another chart here. Okay, so this kind of gives you an idea where I'm going to have my trend charts. All right, and I've kind of spaced it out that way, so that way the layout is there. I'm going to insert another one at the top, and this was going to be titled the trend charts. And I'm going to go ahead and use the cell style as title. Boom. Okay, save my work. All right, so the first trend chart is this combination chart with total sales and average sales, and we're going to be using the monthly financial performance summary. So come back here. This is our monthly financial performance summary. It is the bottom half of this table. And I want to be using the sum of the total sales and the average of the total sales, right? So total sales and then average sales. Okay. Let's go back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if Excel will allow me to do this in combination. So I'm going to select my data set. I'm going to go to Insert. One thing that I sometimes use is recommended charts. And a lot of times in the recommended charts, Excel will give me exactly what I need. And here is an example of partially what I need. You can see it's got 2 lines, and I'll have to make a slight modification. Now, another option I can do is go to a line chart, and I can see that there's some potential options here, but I notice that Excel is not giving me all of the things that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go back to the recommended chart. I'm going to select on this line chart here, right? Because it identifies all the components that I'm looking for. So I can see I've got 2 lines here. I have a primary axis, but what I'm missing is my secondary axis. But that's okay. I can make that modification. All right. If you don't have this recommended thing, you could end up going back to line charts and go ahead and pick the first one. Pick the first one here, and then you also have this second option here, which is exactly what was recommended, which is this one right here, right? So that's another way of being able to get to the same thing. So I'm going to select on this one and then hit OK. Now, it's placed immediately inside this this table, and we're going to get started and make some modifications to it in the next video, and we'll move it to our trend chart worksheet.